Hi everybody. You know what day it is? Whiteboard Wednesday. We're gonna give you a little tracking hack that'll cut down and get it done the fastest that it could be done. Okay, driving down the road, buck track comes across the road. We know there's a little farther to go, so we just continue. Put that to memory, drive up here, take a good look at that. A lot of times when we pull up to it, I'll walk back and have a look at it here. I'll see if it's stopped and really looked. I'll see how old it is, how fast it's going, what kind of attitude it has. Then we drive up through, check it and look it over good. Drive up through to here, not much happening. Drive out to the end here. And sit there for a second. Let's have a look. So I hop out, check some of the logging trails that lead, and oops, here's a track right there. After looking at it here, this is only a quarter, half mile apart or so. This buck's walking right along. Odds are good that could very well be him. We happen to know that there's a pocket of does out on the end of this out here. So odds are good that he's been out through here and he's looking. So we park the truck right there and don't bother with right here. One of the reasons that I do that is that if somebody else comes along and they hop on that track and it's not this deer, but they seem to be the same, that could mean that this one is in the middle somewhere. And if we happen to be out here, what would likely come along if there were two bucks? They would get together and end up going the same way into this pocket of does that we know about, right? So if you had to get out of the rig, where would you get out? I'd get out right there. Because if there's somebody here and they come along and take that track and the deer's in the middle and they shove it, odds are good it's gonna come right towards us and now we're in the woods with 2 bucks, right? No harm in hopping out here. Odds are good it's the same one, but you never know, right? And the best place to be is on top of lots of tracks. We hop out on the end right here and we're between this potential buck and the does. That's another good place to be. Now, as we go along and we hop out and we follow the buck for a little ways, he comes to a doe and a fawn that happen to be down by the pond feeding, a little bit of a clear cut right here, and he gets on top of their tracks and he starts following them. He follows them up through. And sure enough, they're bedded down up on the hillside behind the 2 cuts, bedded down, and he comes along, and of course it's the rut, right? And if she's not quite in heat yet, or she's starting to smell good a little bit, and he pesters her, and she takes off running, ba-boing, 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 and the fawn is with it, and off they go, and the buck comes up behind them, and all of the deer are running across the hillside and up into a select cut. Right? Lots of feed, got a few trees here and there, logging trails and stuff. And then you come to this giant mess, this barnyard we call it, where there's just tracks everywhere around there. When you come into a barnyard area, as you start getting into it and you see, oh, there's tracks going this way and tracks going that way, and it's kind of this crazy mess. I stop right when I first get to the barnyard. I see tracks going everywhere. Now I take the time to really search and scan and look because the deer might be standing right there someplace. Let's say it's kind of brushy, like with Casey's solo buck, where it's been thinned some. It's a select cut. There's a lot of trees. You can't see real far. And you want to hunt fairly slowly because you're coming around a corner all the time. And there very well could be some deer there. When I come to a barnyard and I enter this area that seems to be covered with tracks and it's a mess, I pay attention to which way the wind's blowing. If I come to the barnyard and the wind, say, is going this way here, I'm going to work this side of the barnyard. I'm going to work the downwind side of it, and I'm going to keep all the tracks to my left. I'm going to keep all the tracks inside, and I'm not going to follow tracks anymore. I'm going to look for tracks exiting. And I'll work my way right around looking for the buck and the doe and fawn where they leave this area. Say they were in here feeding and he chased them around, and this might be 300 yards across this spot. I'll just work my way around it and take my time on the downwind side, and I'll hunt the edges of tracks. As soon as I come to a spot where there's no tracks, I'm gonna go uphill and turn in until I hit more tracks. Then I'll go up the edge of those tracks. A lot of times, the deer will loop and do all of this kind of craziness all over in one spot. And as I come to it, where they came in and where they went out, as I come to it now and I work my way around the outside, I'm just looking for something to leave the circle. So I put the center of the circle in my mind, right out here is the center, and I work my way around it until I find a spot where they leave. And where I find that leaving spot, I'll now start right in hunting that. What that does is it keeps me from having to jog around in there and cipher out a million tracks on top of it. I'm looking for where they leave. If I go all the way around and I haven't found where they left, and I'm right back to here where I started, this is where I started, and I came in and I circled everything, keeping all the deer tracks on my left as I circled the whole mess. And I found a place where they left. I could even finish and see if there's any other places where they left. If you happen to be circling and you cut across and a track leaves, and then you take the track leaving and it turns and goes right back into the center, that keeps you from leaving, right? So every track that leaves that looks like that buck, I'm going to check it. Make sure that it's not him. I can finish and find where he left, and now instead of figuring all this out, which could take 2 hours, 3 hours, who knows, I've cut to the chase and I'm right back on him again. If it's not too far across this, I can finish the swing and make sure that they haven't left. And there's quite a few times where I've been around the whole thing and they haven't come out. And I said, uh-oh. Now I've walked all the way around them, and odds are good my wind has blown right through the middle of that. And sometimes they come running and jumping right out, and away they go. And I have to do a second circle to find where they left. But it's still faster than taking every single track. But as I start closing the circle and I'm getting to the dangerous spot where my wind is going to blow through things, I keep my chin up and I'm looking in the middle even more, trying to catch them in the center of it. So as I'm coming up through here and I get right back on the tracks and the buck, the doe, and the fawn go up into the woods, now I'm hunting. Now I'm taking my time. I'm watching the wind and I'm easing up along those tracks. Now I'm hunting and looking for deer. So the whole time when I was down here, I wasn't really looking for the deer all that much, especially since he was hopping right along and they were just going real slow and meandering. That told me he hadn't caught them yet and he was trying to catch up. When we got to the beds and the deer jumped up and they ran, now I've got a timeline. Now I know the buck is on the 2 does and all 3 of them have moved up the hill. And the doe wasn't real receptive to him because she ran. So that means they might run out through and turn around, run back towards me. They might come out here and relax a little bit, and he catches up. She gets a look at him. She chills a little bit, and they hang out together, or he pesters her pretty good. And then either he sticks with them, and they go up and lay down, and now I'm going nice and easy, and I'm trying to crunch right in on him and get him dead. Or I find out that he, partway up in the woods, he says, to hell with her, let's go down and go find another one, and he takes off. Now when I find him leaving the 2 does, he doesn't like them anymore, and he goes back to wandering. Now I'm the quickest route to getting right back on him again, and it cuts to the chase and gets you on that deer as fast as you can. One of the deals is that they use so much territory, they walk so far so easily, and it takes us a long time to walk that far. So the more you can cut all these little shortcuts and get on it faster, the better, because let's face it, when we're deer hunting, we're on the clock. Thanks for watching. Hope this was a big help. Make sure you click all those buttons and like and subscribe and share it with other people if this is helpful information for them. And keep it coming. We appreciate you guys. Happy Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button if you like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next video.